officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Active shooters, the controversies that surround them, and our opinions. And now it's Shots Fired with your hosts, TJ Kurgan, Fat Dark Earth, and Dinah Death Milberg.
OMG, we are on the air in St. Louis.
It's weird. It was really weird.
St. Louis, this is Shots Fired, a podcast that is no longer about just active shooters.
That's right.
Yeah, because, we have had our podcast for years. I'm your host, TJ Kurgan, a.k.a. Sig Glockencolt. My co-host sitting here is Alex Dinah Death Milberg.
Yes, sir.
And, we used to do this podcast. We got like 55 episodes. You can find them on all kinds of podcasting channels. So iHeartRadio, you can find it on iTunes or,
YouTube.
Android podcasts, whatever. You can find our podcast. Got about 55 or 60 of them out there. Yeah. Most of them, what we did in those podcasts were we Monday morning quarterbacked active shooters because there were so many of them in America. What we eventually called shootings of note, noteworthy shootings. We didn't talk about Chicago shootings because there's so many of them.
5 minutes.
Yeah, we literally would do nothing but Chicago every single week. But nonetheless, our new show on the air in St. Louis because Rick and Tracy Ellis are out of their mind and have given me a microphone. Yes.
Worst idea ever.
That is we can't cuss.
Yeah, I know.
We can't cuss. They told us
a delay before I say everything because I'm thinking first.
Right. So our podcast used to be 60 minutes long, and you were just saying that, this one's probably going to, we've only got like 47 minutes of talk time here.
You were worried if we'd be able to make it. And in reality, if you take our previous podcasts and if you edited out the swearing, they're only about 28 minutes
So if we take
long,
out all the cuss words, we can do this
easy,
in 47 minutes.
Easy.
Awesome. Well, so our new show airing every Saturday. It's Saturday right now. You might be hearing this on Sunday. I know they're going to replay it on Sunday for a while.
Oh,
but every Saturday at 11, right here on 93.3 FM and on other radio stations throughout the state of Missouri. We have 5 antennas. We're talking to the whole state. And what we're talking about is freedom, not just guns, although guns is a major part of it because without guns,
it's hard to protect your freedom.
You have no freedom.
Yep.
So what we're going to talk about in this show on a weekly basis is gun laws and how all gun laws are infringements of your Second Amendment. We're going to talk a lot about the Second Amendment. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about politicians and how they use the Second Amendment to try to either control you or to take away your rights. And of course, when the second is gone, there goes the first, right? So if they take your gun rights away, then you have no ability to protect your First Amendment rights because the Second Amendment was not written for deer hunting. No, what was it written for, Alex? What is the Second Amendment all about?
To enforce the Constitution and to be able to protect its integrity should anyone try to restrict it, take it away, infringe upon it.
Sure.
And the hunting...
You mean like communists?
Yeah, exactly. Or socialists or whatever ist they add to the end for that day.
Right.
And... that's what it's there for.
So it's not about deer hunting.
Deer hunting is like an added bonus. Oh yeah, you can deer hunt with this stuff too. But I mean, it's like a tertiary part of it.
Tertiary?
Yeah.
Okay. You're using big words, bigger than normal for a Marine.
I know, we're on the radio. I have to sound fancy and stuff.
So our show is going to be all about freedom. Basically current events surrounding gun ownership, personal and home defense. Like, we're going to talk a lot about self-defense here because a gun is only a tool.
Yep.
And you are the weapon. I think I read that on a T-shirt somewhere. But
it's corny, but it's true.
It's corny, but it's true. And so your AR-15, which I know you have one. If you're listening to this station, you probably have an AR-15. It will not protect you or your family from diabetes.
Nope.
We're going to talk about health and training. Training's important.
Training is extremely important.
Yeah, matter of fact... It is your right in the state of Missouri. Everybody hearing this has the constitutional right to carry a gun.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
If they're over the age of, I believe, like 19 or something.
Yeah, just recently changed.
They can carry a gun, concealed or open carry.
18 if you're military.
Yeah, in Missouri, and it's your constitutional right. Now, that really hurt the local ranges.
Yeah.
Because they all were making money from the requirement of the state to make you get training and get certified and get a permit, right? So now you don't have to have all that. However, it is my belief that it's your duty as an American to gain training, to go get trained with your firearm, with your hands, with your
100%.
brain, so that if you have to, if you are forced to use a firearm in the course of protecting your family, your property, your neighbors, your friends, that you do it in a manner that's legal, ethical, and that's going to
Proficient.
efficient, effective. You're putting shots on target and not on little Timmy in the bedroom down the hall.
Yep.
So training's going to be a big thing that we talk about on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
And it's not just gun training. We're going to talk about hand-to-hand combat, blade training. We're going to talk about...
We don't just talk about it, and we're not just telling people to do it. We do it ourselves. I mean,
Right, absolutely.
We are 120% behind training and pushing it. Even though we don't even make anything off it. We just believe that's something you should be responsible for.
Yeah, matter of fact, one of our right down the street from my I own a company in St. Louis. I don't know if you know this, but it's called TacticalSht.T. You gotta fill in the blank on the asterisk.
You'll figure it out.
But I can't say the rest because they'll hit that beat button. And at TacticalSht.T, we don't provide any training yet. Although I do believe that's coming.
Yes.
What we do provide is we provide basically everything for those that are tactically minded or self-defense minded, from ammunition to gun parts, AR parts, Glock parts. We've got body armor. We've got plate carriers and vests and night vision and lasers and thermals. We got stendos. We got
lasers. Beams.
We got stendos and beams for, and so we don't do the training though. But right down the street, Ultimate Defense.
Yep.
Our friend Paul Bastine in St. Peters, right off of Highway 79. He's not paying me to talk about this right now, but they offer what's called. Do they do UTM or do they do?
It's a crack course, civilian response to armed conflict.
Yeah, so they actually provide the ability for you to train for armed conflict with basically UTM, which is ultimate training munitions, or sim munitions, which hurt. They hurt really bad. You do not want to get hit with one, even when you're wearing several layers of clothing.
You'll remember it.
And protective gear. What it does is it puts you in the frame of mind of not wanting to get shot. You're not standing in front of a paper target. You're not, which everybody does at the range, right? They go to the range, they stand there at 25 yards, at 10 yards, at 7 yards, at 3 yards, and they just put holes in cardboard. That does absolutely nothing to train you to defend yourself.
None.
Other than acquiring a sight picture.
You're patting yourself
with no
on the
stress
back,
whatsoever.
basically.
Yeah, it's every one of you should get like a participation trophy for going to the range. It's fun, yes. When we go to the range,
it's better than nothing.
When we go to the range and we shoot guns, we get dopamine release.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same amount of dopamine, I believe, that brain chemical as you get with a passionate kiss. I heard that was science somewhere. And so it's fun and it's addicting to go shoot, especially shooting steel targets. If you can get outside,
oh God, yes.
Like if you can go over to what's that training range in Illinois that we always went to?
Sparta.
Yeah, over to Sparta, they've got steel targets. When you ring that steel, you get that instant satisfaction and gratification that I hit it. I did good, Daddy.
Yeah.
And so steel is a great way to shoot. But that's all basically marksmanship, sight acquisition, sight picture, trigger squeeze, all the things.
Basic fundamentals.
Yeah, the basic fundamentals. What we're going to harp on in this show is that you take it further and you actually go get training where you learn to draw a real gun from concealed.
Under pressure.
Under pressure, while you're scared to death, while you have an adrenaline dump, because when it hits the fan, you better be ready for it. And training allows you to be in those scenarios so that if it does hit the fan, and God help you, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, your brain immediately goes, I've been here before.
Muscle memory, reactionary.
I know what to do here. And it's not just a complete dump of adrenaline that's going to give you tunnel vision. It's going to give you audio inclusion. You're not going to hear things. It's going to give you memory loss, significant memory loss. We're going to talk about what to do after a shooting, if you have to defend yourself in Missouri, we're going to talk about how you protect yourself both from criminal and civil liability after the fact. These are all important things to talk about on this radio show, and we can't get them all into this show. So now,
there's a lot.
This entire show is all about us just getting it all out and telling you what this show is going to be about, and then we're going to break it down. Each week we're going to have different topics. We're also going to have call-ins.
Awesome.
Some great call-ins. We're going to have call-ins from professional shooters, from weapons manufacturers, special forces operators from SEAL Team 6, and all kinds of Green Berets and things that can tell cool stories and, that sort of thing. We're going to have jiu-jitsu instructors, blade instructors, you name it, and a whole lot of Second Amendment advocates.
Absolutely.
People that are going to Washington and doing the hard work, to get in front of these politicians, and in the words of my friend Jerry Michalik, pester them politicians, because right now there's a whole lot of money against us, the American freedom-loving gun owner. And so we're going to talk about that, how you can help, how you can contribute. Great organizations like Gun Owners of America or Firearms Policy Coalition, and how they are better than the NRA. We're going to talk about that, why the NRA sucks. We're gonna talk about that. It's gonna be a fun ride for sure. And we're coming up on our first break. But before we go to a break, we talked about defensive stuff, right?
Yeah.
We talked about being in good shape, being in good health. And our first show sponsor ever, other than TacticalSht.T, is Precision Fitness in Creve Coeur, Missouri.
Yes.
Precision Fitness, Jamie and Jen Spicer. They're personal friends of mine. I go to their gym. My wife does she's training there every day. I go there, probably monthly. I go a couple times a month to really get a butt-kicking workout in. But what I do with them is more along the lines of they manage me. They manage my meal plans. They kind of, based on what I want. I want to be physically fit. I want to have, the ability. I hate running. I'm not going to run. But I want the ability to run if I need to. I want to be able to sustain myself in a hand-to-hand fight for longer than 60 seconds, and I want to be able to do these things. And so I get my meal plans. I get other things like basically testosterone. I'm going to admit it, right? I'm 47 years old.
It happens.
My beard is gray.
Life catches up.
And, I went in and I got my blood tested. They did a full blood panel on me, and I found out I was a woman. Not the transvestite kind, but I was basically had the testosterone levels. My test levels were probably lower than my wife. We call her the HBIC.
Your wife got pretty high levels, though.
But anyway, so they actually manage that. It's all medically managed. Every single week, I rely on the folks at Precision Fitness for training, for fitness, for food, for medically supervised therapy and supplements. So check them out, Precision Fitness, precisionfitness.com. Yep. Google them. You'll find them on the internets here in St. Louis.
Just over in Creve Coeur.
Yep. We got to go to break. And we're back.
That was fast.
Yeah, it really wasn't. In our world, it was fast.
Yes.
Because we didn't actually have to listen to all that other jive,
yes,
the commercials and, stuff like that. But, Anyway, we're back. And we thought, it would be prudent to now speak about the ammo crisis.
Which is definitely a crisis and a half.
Ongoing. It's been going on for over a year. And a lot of people don't understand where all the ammo went, why there's a crisis. And so we thought we'd spend, we got the next 6 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And we decided to dedicate that to talking to you about the current state of ammunition in America, how the problem got started, where we've come from and where we're at now, and what we see in the future. Because hunting season is right around the corner.
Yep.
All right. And so in 2020, there were 9.3 million first-time gun buyers in America. Slow clap.
Good job, people.
Good job. Most of those first-time gun buyers were minorities, women, and so minorities and women, I should say.
Yeah.
Women aren't minorities. There can be minority women. Anyway, so you got 9.3 million. So now we're going to have math class, folks.
Oh,
what do you buy the first time you ever buy your first gun?
Another one.
No, that's That's 10 minutes later. I'm talking about in that purchase, right? In that purchase, typically, you're going to buy a box of bullets. Or let's say 3. I mean, I would buy 3 boxes of 9, right? Because you're going to want to shoot
one's
it.
stupid. You're not going to use one.
Your magazine holds, 15 plus 1?
Yeah.
A box of bullets is 50.
Yeah.
So you're going to buy 3 boxes of 9mm. You're going to buy that Glock 19. And you're going to buy 3 boxes of 9mm. You're going to get a holster.
Yep.
You're going to get some gun cleaner, like my personal favorite, Liberal Tears gun cleaner.
Always.
Smells like bacon.
Really does.
Which, by the way, is the scent of freedom.
It is. It's
so
officially.
liberaltears.net, folks. If you want to get Liberal Tears coffee, Liberal Tears gun oil, check it out, liberaltears.net. We also sell it at TacticalSht.Official.
True story.
And you like how I injected the ad right in?
Yeah,
okay.
That's impressive.
So these first-time gun buyers, 9.3 million people buy 3 boxes of ammo and a bunch of other stuff. Gun cleaner, they buy a gun cleaning kit. Maybe they buy a bag to put the gun in and take it to the range. And so that's kind of the kit, right? You buy your first kit. So 9.3 million times 150 is 1.395 billion rounds of ammunition.
That's a lot of ammo.
If every first-time gun buyer just bought 3 boxes of 9mm, they bought 1.4 billion rounds of ammunition. That is, of course, if that E9 on the calculator means billion. I think it does.
Yes.
Pretty sure it does.
It's such a big number, my calculator's like,
and billions,
nah, bro.
I'm pretty sure a billion days ago, Jesus was alive.
Yeah.
So to put that in perspective, that's a lot of ammo. I almost did it. I almost had the first beep. I almost did. It's a lot of ammo, folks. And
that's only factoring in for first-time gun.
That's just the first-time gun.
That's not everybody freaking out stockpile.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened next was the toilet paper syndrome. Right? So you see the vanquishing of the ammo based on the first-time buyers hoarding it up, and what did you do? You start going down to your local farm store or Cabela's or Bass Pro or whatever, and you go in there and they're like, well, we got 9mm, but it's a 5-box limit, and so you buy 5. You tell your wife to go buy 5.
No one's gonna
you send your son in to buy 5.
No one's gonna buy 2.
Yeah, and so everybody buys 5, right? And so now, and then then you go home and you're like, hey man, I just got 5 boxes of regularly priced 9 at Bass Pro Shops, and then I had my wife go buy more, and then all your friends see that there's some sort of problem. Why is he buying? What's going on? Oh my God!
I should go do the same thing.
There's a crisis, and everybody goes and does the same thing, right? So, with that being said, American ammunition manufacturers, and all of them are owned by Vista Outdoors. I mean, it is a complete monopoly, right? Good stock to buy. I'm not. Don't take my advice. I sold mine, by the way. So Vista Outdoors owns all of them. They own Remington. They own Winchester. They own Heavy Shot. They own not PMC. They own
Federal.
A bunch of them. All the big names and Blazer and all that stuff. It's all owned by one publicly traded company. That publicly traded company announced late 2020, early 2021, on Fox Business that they were $1 billion in back orders, and that they weren't going to be able to deliver orders. Their back orders were going to take them into 2021. Well, it was just 2022.
Yeah.
So a year and a half back order, 18 months at back order, and over $1 billion in orders just with that one publicly traded holding company that owns most of the American manufacturers. Now, on top of that, you have the military buying their regular stuff.
Yep.
You have law enforcement agencies trying to buy their stuff, but they're struggling big time. You got shooting ranges trying to buy their stuff. They're struggling big time. And so there's a giant suck in the market. And then you have supply chain issues. This is the next big issue. Primers.
Probably the biggest.
This is the biggest issue. Primers, can't find them. They don't exist no mo. The reason primers are not findable is simple, and I got to speed it up, but they're only made in 3 places, right? There's like one company in the United States that makes them, right? That's feeding Vista.
Yep.
And then there's a company in Italy and a company in Germany, and they were closed forever due to COVID.
Completely locked
So
down.
today, we still can't get primers in this country. We can't get them. They're nowhere. So anyway, supply chain problem, demand, hoarding, that's where we're at. We're going to have to break, and after the break, we'll talk about what is going on currently with ammunition.
It's not getting better.
Well, it is a little bit. We're going to talk about that after the break. We got to go pay the bills. Man, I love that song. Aaron Lewis is the is the man.
Yes.
So, I don't know if you noticed, but we're playing Aaron Lewis ins and outs on this show, and we're going to keep doing that until we get sick of it. Because I tell you right now, I want you, if you have any homework from this show, other than carry everywhere, carry every day, get training, and
then get more training.
Get physically fit, understand the laws of your town, your state. Notice I didn't say country because I could care less about those guys. I live in Missouri.
Yep.
Right? But other than that, I don't remember what I was saying. Where was I going with that? Ammo.
Yes.
Okay.
The future of the ammo crises.
Yeah, that was one of those senior moments.
You'll have that on
the future. No, the currency. So we're in a current ammo crisis.
Yes.
It has been getting better.
It has.
And so I would liken ammo to Bitcoin. Right?
Ooh,
so ammunition, specifically 9mm, 5.56, and 223 skyrocketed. I mean, we used to buy this stuff, or it
was something like 600% price.
Yeah, retail, you used to pay 20-something cents for a 9mm, maybe 30-something cents, if that, for a 5.56. And we were seeing prices at one point. We saw 9mm hit $1.
Yeah. And then a little more.
We actually saw 5.56 M855 green tips go north of $1.
Yeah.
300 blackout was topping around $1.50, $1.80 around.
It almost $3 at one point.
Almost $3?
We stopped buying it, but it was at one point almost $3.
And so it's been a wild ride. Most small gun shops can't get anything, and what they would get would be the basically stuff being delivered on their orders from a year ago, and it'd be 50 boxes of this and 100 boxes of that. Nobody was getting case loads. And the big chains, they were making everybody else in the industry look bad because they were selling their ammo at a loss. It's called a loss leader.
Well, they
to
were
get
on
you in the
old
door.
Contract too.
Yeah, and they were on their old contract, but they were also taking a loss.
Yeah.
So let's say they were paying 28 cents on their old contract. They'd sell it for 27, lose a penny, knowing that they're going to bring in one person for every 5 boxes.
Yeah.
And that person's also going to buy a hat and some barbecue chips, maybe a pair of pants. I don't know. That's how it works, right?
Makes sense.
So we have seen ammo come down. Now, it hasn't come down because American manufacturers, everybody's like, oh, Remington spooed up and they're going to catch us up. No, it's come down because every investor in this country that had balls, they started importing ammunition from all the Eastern Bloc countries. Basically, everybody in Europe stopped shooting at each other because they were like, Americans will pay 50 cents for 9mm.
This is way better.
Boris, hold your fire. And they start putting it in shipping containers and putting it on ships. We've been, not we, but federally licensed importers, right?
Wait, are you saying that U.S. gun owners have brought world peace?
Very possibly. The importers, the federally licensed importers, the ATF licensed importers, they have been bringing in shiploads, and I said shiploads of ammunition from Turkey, Israel, Yugoslavia,
Romania,
Czechoslovakia, Bosnia,
Croatia.
Yeah, you name it. Every Mexico, yeah, Cascades coming across the border. An entire truckloads of Aguila coming across the border got hijacked by the cartel a few weeks ago.
22.
That caused 22 to go up for a few days.
Yeah,
because truckloads, 3 trucks of Aguila, and a truck carries a lot of 22, by the way.
Yeah,
and they all got hijacked by the cartels. Anyway, so right now ammo has come down because ships are landing, and there is a surplus market over the summertime right now of Eastern European 5.56 9mm. What hasn't come down much, but it has come down some, is things like 45, 38, 380.
Stuff that's really only here.
6.5 Creedmoor, I still haven't seen that. 5.7, unfindable. I can't find it.
I found some, but you see the price and you just cry.
Yeah, and we're buying wholesale.
Yeah.
Because both of us, work at TacticalSht.T in St. Peter's, and we are one of the biggest ammunition distributors and retailers in the country, right here in St. Louis, which is why we always have ammo.
Yep.
Because we have friends that are importers, and we've been bringing in tons and tons of ammo for a long time now.
Almost 2 years.
With that said, though, we anticipate I'm about to speculate for you. Okay, we anticipate that it has hit bottom, and we are starting to see the ticker go the other direction.
Yep.
Couple pennies here, couple pennies there. People still can't find primers. Brass is starting to become readily accessible. Projectiles seem to be okay. Powder is hard to find, but for the manufacturers, but they are starting to get some in. Mm-hmm. But the primers are still non-existent. Okay, I actually heard that a primer manufacturer has spooled up in Texas, and they're planning on.
Nice.
But they're going to be hitting the market with these primers, 90 million primers in the next 6 months, and they're hitting the market at 6 cents a primer wholesale, which is double what it used to be at 3 cents a primer. So when you talk about ammo cost, it's the component costs are going up because do you know what it takes to make a primer? To build a factory that makes primers,
super dangerous.
You need about 20 million or 20 to 100 million in capital just to build the primer manufacturing plant, and you have to build it. From my understanding, the EPA requires it to be built on federal land, so you got to get you got to put it on a military base or some sort of federal land because it's highly explosive.
Yeah.
And those towns in Italy and Germany that make the primers, occasionally.
They disappear.
Occasionally, the entire town goes away because Karen had some static on her finger when she went to put the primer in the bucket. Literally will destroy an entire town.
Yeah.
So manufacturing primers is a dangerous, dangerous game. Anyway, we anticipate we are seeing component supply chain issues. We are seeing delays in importation. We are seeing the inability to get shipping containers. Wow. Like literally, I heard today, we were on the phone on the way over here. You heard me talking to the importer.
Yeah.
That the shipping containers, they're not letting them go back.
What?
So there's going to be a crap load of shipping containers here in the U.S. because they're afraid that COVID from America is going to get in the container and go across the ocean and contaminate their dirt hole country.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm dead serious.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, I'm sure some communist somewhere that makes shipping containers is behind this, right? Because, oh no, COVID, we don't want those back. Anyway, so shipping containers is a problem, and getting a ship. Have you ever tried to send something right now, like through FedEx or UPS?
Yeah, you might.
It's an absolute nightmare, right? We ship a pallet of 9mm from like St. Louis to Indy, and it takes 7 days.
Yeah,
and half of it'll get stolen, right? Yeah. So, imagine that times 1,000 with renting a ship. I saw the other day getting ships from the Eastern European countries like Montenegro to get them to come over here. Leasing the ship has gone from $30,000 a day to lease a ship to now $150,000 a day to lease a ship.
Oh, wow.
And it's all blamed on COVID, the spicy flu.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, so we anticipate a spike in ammo costs, component costs and everything, probably because of capitalism. It will be timed right about Labor Day. Right about Labor Day, right about the time hunting season begins, September.
Yeah.
We're going to see prices go back up. So if you haven't gotten your ammo yet, I recommend you buy it right meow.
You can still find good deals. It's still pretty low right now.
Yeah. But in
we're just
3 or 4
earlier,
weeks, we're going to see it going up 20 to 25%.
Yeah.
You can mark my words. 3 months from now, if I'm full of it, you guys can call me out on it. But
we would love to be wrong on this.
Yeah, I would for sure. So, let's talk about some other stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked about the ammo crisis. But there's a bigger crisis going on in this country.
There's a bunch of bigger
crises. There's a whole lot of them.
There's no shortage.
No shortage. Well, the only thing there is a shortage of is conspiracy theories because they've all come true.
Yeah, sadly.
So let's talk about some of those disasters that are going on. Almost every single one of them is related to the stealing of the election by the Biden administration, the proliferation of communism in America, and the thing they're going after is your rights to free speech.
Not even hiding it anymore.
Your rights to, my body, my choice. What happened to that, right?
Yeah, suddenly that was a reversal.
And they're going after the Second Amendment because they want us to be like Venezuela, or Cuba, or any one of these countries, you name them, that are currently rioting all over the world against the COVID restrictions, COVID passports, and all this BS.
And good for those guys.
Yeah, but they're doing it without firearms. They're throwing rocks.
Yeah.
They're throwing rocks.
And they're still doing it.
Because they don't have any guns, because they allowed their government to take them. And so what we have, and we don't have, the government is not going door to door. Your apocalyptic wet dream of, somebody coming to your door and saying, I'm here for your guns. That's not happening. What they're doing is they're taking your rights systematically over generations.
Yep.
And some of you are absolutely at fault for it. I'm going to go back a couple years and talk about, I think it was 2018, we're going to talk about bump stocks.
Oh, boy.
Right?
Yeah.
I guarantee a bunch of you listening, including my own father, said things like, well, it's just a bump stock. Those are dumb anyway. I don't care about that. So let them ban that. But as soon as we let them ban that, which Trump did, okay, so it's not all Biden here. Trump banned the bump stock, which opened the door to ban every other gun part there is, which includes things like triggers.
Because in reality, it wasn't a machine gun.
Bolt carriers, grips, rail systems, sights, optics, lasers, night vision, body armor.
Literally everything.
Anything to protect yourself. And as soon as they ban all that, they're going to ban knives because that's what Britain did. And then you'll get stabbed with a butter knife on the sidewalk. So, with that being said, what we're facing today, the Biden administration, full onslaught of war against you, the American gun owner, trying to get David Shipman, who's an absolute piece of garbage, named as the head of the ATF. Now, this is a guy that spent his life in the ATF and he actually posed for a photograph.
Smiling.
With his AR-15, smiling in front of the burning bodies at Waco.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was women and children.
You mean that incident where the government murdered a bunch of innocent men, women, and children, right?
Yes.
That Waco?
Yeah, the one that happened after Ruby Ridge?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Koresh, but what the government did was wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And David Chipman, the guy that they're trying to install as the head of the law enforcement agency that enforces gun laws, he's posing in front of dead bodies with a gun. And
some of my fellow Marines went to jail for posing in front of and peeing on dead Taliban enemy fighters who helped kill Americans. Mm-hmm. But you do it to American citizen men, women, and children, you get promoted?
Yeah. Well, you don't get promoted right away. You work the rest of your career in the ATF, loathing guns, hating guns, and everything they stand for. And then you retire from the ATF and you go to work for the Kathy Gifford Foundation.
What's that?
Well, that is an anti-gun foundation made by, I believe she was a congressional person that was shot in the head, Kathy Giffords. And, I feel bad that she was shot in the head. She was shot in the head by a crazy person, right? We're almost out of time. Look at that. But anyway, we're going to talk more about this in just a minute. When we can come back, we'll talk more about David Chipman and what he's coming after that's in your drawer at home.
This timing thing.
Now I grew up down an old dirt road in a town you wouldn't know. My pops picked the place up for $1,500 back in 1964. My grandfather was a drinker back in the day, put him down. But a war is known to change a man, and the whiskey's known to change a man.
I love that song too, Country Boy.
That is probably one of my favorites by him.
You know who's not a country boy?
Who's that?
David Chipman. Let's talk about him some more.
Yeah.
I wasn't done.
No.
So David Chipman, David Waco Chipman, who's, we've been fighting, everybody's been fighting to get him he's nominated, but not to get him approved as the head of the ATF. He goes and works for the Kathy Gifford Foundation, which is funded by George.
Oh, that Soros.
Yeah. So weird. So David Chipman has been working as an anti-gun lobbyist with getting paid by George Soros for the last several years, and now suddenly he's the candidate that Biden wants to enforce gun laws. This is literally like putting a coyote in charge of protecting the hen house.
Yeah.
It's absolute insanity. This guy hates you. He hates me. He hates everyone listening to this show.
A lot.
He wants to see us all dead.
Yeah, and then pose with pictures.
And then he'd pose with pictures,
yeah.
Sure. So we absolutely have to fight against him. And to do that, you have to donate to the Firearms Policy Coalition. That's the FPC, or Gun Owners of America. Now, I don't know the guys at Gun Owners of America, but I know that they are a reputable organization.
Yes.
I do know the guys at Firearms Policy Coalition. And what I love about Firearms Policy Coalition is every dollar you give them, they don't spend any money on advertising.
Nope.
They don't buy $1 million jets. They don't buy, $100,000 wardrobes like NRA dude.
Yeah.
And they don't get into politics. What they do is they sue people.
Yeah.
They take your money and they sue state and federal attorney generals. They sue politicians, and they also take things to the Supreme Court. Constantly. And so the FPC, go check them out, Firearms Policy Coalition. They are currently leading the charge to protect you against Biden and Chipman. And it doesn't matter if Chipman gets assigned.
Yeah.
They're still coming after a couple things. And we want to make sure that you don't treat these things like bump stocks. The first one is called what they call, they being the liberals, ghost guns. So spooky.
So scary.
Yeah, ghost guns. Ghost guns are essentially what are known in our industry as 80% receivers.
Yes.
Which, by the U.S. Constitution, every American has the right to manufacture their own firearm, so as long as it does not violate National Firearms Act.
Yeah.
NFA requirements. You can't make a machine gun, can't make a pen gun, can't make a short barrel rifle, short barrel shotgun. Yeah, it's all infringements. We'll worry about that later. You have the right to make your own gun. Now, if you make that gun, you have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility to put a serial number on it. Because if somebody steals it from you, you want to be able to get it back.
Yeah.
That is the reason you put a serial number on a gun. So you can get it back if it's stolen. Serial numbers don't trace to crime because there is no such thing as a firearms registration in America. That's illegal, right? All you do when you buy a gun is fill out a 4473 form. You attest to a bunch of things, that you're not crazy and you don't smoke weed and all these things. You sign that federal document, and they do a background check on you, and they do write down on the piece of paper what gun you're buying, what the serial number is, but none of that is supposed to be maintained in a database.
No, that stays with
the only one
gun
that
shop.
maintains it in a database is, I believe, the big box stores like Cabela's. When you buy one at Cabela's, you're typing that into a computer. I don't recommend that.
No.
But every gun shop just keeps a stack of 4473s so that in the case that they are audited by the ATF because of a crime and a gun and they want to trace who bought it, they can do that.
Which requires multiple subpoenas.
Yeah, all kinds of warrants and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, where was I going with that? Help me out. So you have a ghost, this ghost
80s.
gun, 80% lowers, right? We think you should put a serial number on it or scratch your initials in the side or something. But some people choose not to. It's the ability for you to legally manufacture a firearm without getting a background check, and of course, if you do that and you're a felon, you've committed a crime. If you do that and you've built an NFA weapon, you've committed a crime. If you build an 80% gun into a gun and you sell it for a profit, you've committed a crime. That's the key. You can't sell it. It's now a family heirloom unless you put a serial number on it, sell it to a dealer, and the dealer can then do a 4473 to the next buyer. So, some criminal elements in places like Chicago and LA, yeah, of course, they're buying Poly 80 Glock lower receivers and AR-15, aluminum and polymer lower receivers, 80%ers, and they're making these guns. They are committing the crime of manufacturing a gun. They're already a felon, and they're going to use it in a crime.
Criminals are being criminals.
Yeah, criminals are being criminals. So, with that, but they're using that to scare you Americans into thinking that ghost guns are this thing that needs to be taken away.
In reality, from the last poll I saw, they did the statistics of it. It's like a fraction of a percent of ghost guns actually being used in crimes.
Yeah. So then, in addition to ghost guns, they're going after arm braces, right? Arm braces were originally invented and approved by the ATF thousands of times. For the ability to it was originally made for the ability for a person that can't use all their faculties.
Yeah, it was a disabled veteran.
For a disabled veteran that wanted to be able to shoot his AR-15 one-handed, right? And so you took an AR-15 pistol, which back then was just a buffer tube sticking out of the back, and it couldn't have stock adjustment points on it.
Yeah.
And they put the arm brace on it, and the arm brace would go on your arm. Since then, the industry has taken quite a bit of advantage of the ATF by, kind of pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And now we have, metal arm braces that can be used as a stock should you decide to do so if you want to commit a crime. And now what they're saying is by that these things are now, suddenly they want to make them against the law. There are millions of them on the street, absolutely millions. Like probably, I'd say, I'd say 3 or 4% of Americans probably own an AR-15 pistol or some pistol with an arm brace on it. We're talking about millions and millions of these things that have been bought legally, and they want to turn them into an NFA item. They want to say, if you have one of these, we're going to subject you to the National Firearms Act. We're going to require that you pay a $200 tax stamp and or destroy it and go through a background check, fingerprints,
On something you were already legally allowed to possess.
Correct, which can't happen. Now, what they're going to try to do, we saw them tip their hat to this. They're going to come to you and they're going to offer you amnesty. That's what they're going to do. They're going to come in and they're going to say, okay, we realize there's millions of you out there, so you have 180 days to register your National Firearms Act short-barreled rifle or pistol-braced pistol, whatever they're going to call it. I hope they do the short-barrel rifle thing, because then everybody gets free SBRs.
Yeah.
You get an SBR, you get an SBR, you get an SBR. So anyway, that's what they're going to do. They're going to offer you to register with the NFA and to not have to pay the $200 and still go through the background check, get your fingerprints, blah, 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 blah. And anybody that doesn't do that becomes a felon, subject to 16 years in federal pound town.
Not fun.
No. You've been there, right?
No, I've heard stories, though.
Of course you haven't been there, because you're carrying a firearm right now, or at least you should be.
What? I watched Orange is the New Black. I know what prison's like.
That's a good show.
It is.
That's a good show. All right. So they're coming after your gun parts. They're also coming after your guns. Biden, I don't call him President Biden because he's not mine. Biden recently said some things that we can't play on here because I don't have the audio file. But as the show progresses, we'll be able to do those things. Biden actually said the other day that he wants to ban 9mm pistols. And now they've introduced a bill to ban all semi-automatic guns.
Yeah, anything that's semi and can take a detachable mag, which makes me wonder even some bolt actions can take detachable mags.
Lots of bad stuff happening. That's it. This show's over. So we're going to talk about that next week. We're going to talk about how they're trying to ban semi-automatics. We're going to bring in some callers. We're going to have some fun. Goodbye, St. Louis. Have a good weekend.
Later.
I love my country. I love my guns. I love my family. I love the way it is now. And anybody that tries to change it has to come through me. That should be all of our attitudes. This is America. And a country boy's good enough for me, son.